My dear brothers and sisters, the wisdom that God gives to each one of us is the ability to see as God sees. That is what the definition of wisdom is. Do we see our life in the way that God sees us? For in the responsorial psalm, it says, "The just man murmurs wisdom," meaning a man who is configured to Christ's life speaks the words of Christ. But in our wisdom, many times it is defiled by the interior heart that is tainted by sin. Sin prevents us from seeing our life in the way God sees it. And if we want to see God, blessed are those who are pure of heart, for they shall see God. And that pure of heart is a desire to always seek the Lord at all times, to configure ourselves to Christ at all moments, our thoughts, our minds, our hearts, our souls, even the things that we say or do must be what God does. And so how do we enter into God's heart? In the first reading, we talk about the Queen of Sheba coming and seeing Solomon with much wisdom. For Solomon was the man who prayed for wisdom when he was asked, "What do you want?" in his dream. Not the things of this world, not power or fame, but he says wisdom. Wisdom is what will carry us on in this life to be filled with joy, as Saint Bernadette Subaru experienced that joy when she encountered our Mother Mary in Our Lady of Lourdes in 1858 in France. At the age of 14, it was her little sister, and her friend who was traveling up the mountain in this cave, and only Saint Bernadette saw Our Lady. Neither the little sister or the friend saw, because she was chosen. She was chosen because what came from her heart was not defilement. What came from her heart was purity. And our Mother Mary saw that, and she wanted Saint Bernadette to be the evangelizer, to spread that good news, the truth that our Mother Mary is always there for us. In the recesses, in the caves of our homes, do we see our Mother Mary abiding with us? For on the day Jesus Christ gave us our Mother Mary, he says, "Behold, my son, your mother." Meaning, our Mother Mary is always there. But the reason why we lack sight, we lack the ability to see, is because of sin. For the gospel says, defilement, folly, licentiousness, envy, greed, all these sin comes from within our hearts, within our minds. The way we think has been distorted by our own selfishness, distorted by the darkness that many times is hidden from the people, but we, behind closed door, commit sins perhaps that doesn't allow us to see the goodness of ourselves and others. And so every time we wake up, we feel guilty or ashamed. We're in pain because we know we have sinned, whether it be a lie, whether it be judging others, whether it be a gossip. That sin prevents us from being at peace. And there's a restlessness of our hearts, two types of restlessness. There's a restlessness that wants to see God more, that wants to have God within our life. But there's also a restlessness due to our running away from God. We're running away from God and we're tired, and we do not know the reason why, because we don't want to admit to ourselves, I ran too far. And to come back to God takes work. To come back to God takes sacrifice and humility. But we don't want to commit that. We don't want to enter into that humble act of service and love because we're blinded. We're blinded by the darkness. But this very day, God is not saying it's too late. God is saying, receive my wisdom. Receive my truth. Your word, O Lord, is truth. Consecrate us in the truth, the the gospel acclamation says. So let us receive the truth. Let us not wait anymore. Let us not put it off for tomorrow or later, because later or tomorrow may not come. But what exists is the now. What exists is the present moment. How do we come to God and say, Lord, I am ready to serve you, to love you, as Saint Bernadette did. And she passed away at the age of 35 with much suffering. She had a lot of suffering at the end of her life, not because God caused that suffering. It's because when we love God with all our heart, soul, and mind, we too will be configured to Christ who is crucified. And that's why St. Paul says, I preach Christ crucified. Meaning, it is our love that we will embrace the cross. Not our own cross as well, but the cross of other people. So that we can lift the burdens of this world. We can lift the struggles of people's hearts and alleviate their woes. And the way we do it is not by the things of this world. It's not by money. It's not by possession. The way we alleviate people's suffering is by giving Christ to them. Giving Christ to them through our prayers, through our sacrifice, through our mortification, through our silent lips, by purifying our hearts. So let us this day purify our soul and let us see God as he sees us. Amen.